Then he has this other side to him that's just like, when he breaks out of his shell, it's like, dang boy, that's hot. Woo! I didn't know you had it in you. My fellow book nerds, welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're going to talk all about the books that I read in May, and you know what? I am going to be 100% honest with you. It was not the greatest reading month. I kid you not. I went into the year feeling very good, very optimistic that I was going to make my 100 books in a year goal. I had managed to get over, gosh, I think 42 books, 42, 44, something like that. So I was feeling pretty good. And then May hit. And honestly, you guys, I am a little bit concerned that I might have just imploded my entire challenge. I only got through 6 books in the month of May, and I did not see that happening. I have been doing so good. 11 books, 12 books. I don't think I have gotten under 10 books since the beginning of the year. I just hit a massive slump. So the question is, real quick, what went wrong? I started out the month really, really well, and the first book that I read was Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Now, this is the Boys of Tommen series, and you guys, I was completely obsessed with this book. And this follows Johnny and Shannon, and you guys, their story is just so heartbreakingly sweet. I absolutely love Shannon. I just want to hold her, you know. Her story reminds me of mine in some ways. I just resonate so well with Shannon. God tier book, in my opinion. One of my favorite books of 2026. This book took a giant piece of me. So I rated this 5 stars. And if you're unfamiliar with the Boys of Tommen series, this is basically just about kids at school in Ireland that play rugby, which was something that I didn't really know a lot about. So I'm learning like all sorts of information about this sport. You know, I had to look some stuff up about the sport itself that I was curious about. You know, when they were talking about it, I wanted to be able to understand what they were saying. But this book lived in my soul. And honestly, when I bought this book, I had the chance to buy its second book. The first 2 books in the series are about the same couple, so they're both about Johnny and Shannon. So I was like, I'll get through book 1 and then we'll go from there. Big mistake, you guys. Big mistake, because after reading book 1, I so desperately wanted to read book 2. But with us moving houses, in the process of saving money, so it was like no money for new books right now. I think that that's where my spiral for May happened, because I couldn't get Johnny and Shannon's story out of my head. It's like I needed to know. It was heartbreaking. But I was like, you know what? I've done this before. I have started books that I was completely invested in. I could easily move on and everything will be fine. It's just, I couldn't get it out of my head. And honestly, I think that that's where my slump started to happen. So in Binding 13, you meet Johnny and Shannon, and their story is so bittersweet. She has a lot going on at home, and she has been bullied her whole life, and she doesn't feel like anybody really cares about her. And then a series of events happen. Johnny ends up in her orbit. He takes it upon himself to kind of protect her and keep people from bullying her. But yet he's also got so much going on with his life right now. He's really trying to focus on Rigby and trying to be the best, and also dealing with an injury. He's got this whole mindset, I can't get in a serious relationship right now, and she's going to be a distraction. But yet at the same time, he can't seem to stay away from her. The chemistry between the two of them was just like one of the most beautiful tellings I think I have ever read. It was so real, so heartwarming. Chloe Walsh didn't shy away from the uncomfortable topics, the hard topics. It was faced. Oh my gosh, if you guys haven't read this series, I would highly recommend it. Again, check your trigger warnings. I couldn't get enough of this book. My only recommendation to you is, if you do, don't make the same mistake I did and make sure you get at least the first 2 books, because the third book goes into a story of somebody else. In order to complete Johnny and Shannon's story, you're definitely going to want book 2, because book 1 ends on a serious freaking cliffhanger that has me going, oh my gosh. And I couldn't get it out of my head. And it was like every book I've read since then, it hasn't been hitting. I will say now that I tried my best to rate the books based on what I genuinely believed that they portrayed, not factoring in the slump that Binding 13 put me in. So I decided that maybe I shouldn't go into a romantasy book. I mean, I thought about doing like a comedy, like a rom-com, but I thought that maybe going way off and doing a romantasy book might be a better idea. So then I went into The Silversmith by L.J. Claren. Now, I found this book to actually be pretty good. However, it didn't get rid of my slump. And I feel like if I wouldn't have read this book right after Binding 13, that it would have hit better. I did end up giving it a 5-star versus what I was feeling, because I genuinely and 100% believe that these were the right books, just the wrong time. Binding 13 broke me. For me, it felt like a 4-star read. Like, I know myself a lot. I know that this book would have been a 5-star for me. I just know it. So I'm rating it 5 stars. It did not help with my reading slump, because all I wanted to do was be back with Johnny and Shannon. And I didn't feel like that was fair to this book. But it was good. I mean, you have this girl, Ari, who basically loses her family. She's on her own. She's starving to death. And these people suddenly show up and they're like, hey, you're this long lost princess and you're going to save our kingdom. You're going to go and you're going to marry this high commander, and your marriage is going to bind his armies with the kingdom, and we're going to be able to save everybody. And so she goes on this long journey with these people, along with this, he's a very rustic, very kind of like grumpy but not guy who kind of is helping being in charge of keeping her safe and getting her to the destination that she needs to be at. And he kind of tasks himself into trying to shape her into the warrior that she needs to be. Now, this story did take a very interesting turn. I was able to kind of piece together pretty much the premise of everything. It wasn't like a big shock reveal for me or anything like that. The role that they did decide to take was just like, I mean, that's different. It was intriguing. I can't wait for book 2 to come out. It's definitely going to be worth it, in my opinion. Like I said, again, it was a very, very good book, and I loved it immensely. It's just, it wasn't Johnny and Shannon, and I'm sorry, Ari. I'm sorry. I loved her, and I loved her journey. I loved her character growth. It was chock full of adventure and romance and fantasy and magic, and it was just a beautiful story, a beautiful telling. I loved the world building. Everything about this book was incredible. I do feel like it had 5-star potential if it wouldn't have been for my crazy slump. Have you ever had those where you know it's not the book? It's just you. I was like, okay, it's time for book 3. I was like, maybe romantasy wasn't the way I needed to go. So I decided I'm going to do a little bit more of a rom-com-y sort of deal, and I'm going to go back to my cowboy romances, and I decided to go with Elsie Silver, and I read Powerless, which is book 3 in the Chestnut Springs series. I knew I was going to be excited about this book because it follows Jasper and Sloane, and I have been in love with Jasper since book 1 of the series, and he always kind of had this, he wasn't part of the family, but yet he was part of the family, mysterious story about him, this mysterious aura around him that just I needed to know more. So I figured, okay, this is the best way to go. I absolutely loved this book. I gave it a solid 4 stars. I didn't feel slumpy at all when I was reading it. It was a great time. I was invested in Jasper. Their story was so sweet. They've known each other since they were children. Sloane has never seen Jasper as a cousin or a brother or anything like that. She's always been in love with him since she was little. She's crushed on him. And he knew that, but, he always was like, oh, it's a childhood crush. She got over it. They were still really good friends, and they still talked to each other all the time, and he'd go help her move. And then she got engaged to a guy she didn't love, and she ends up running away and pretty much leaving the guy at the altar. Jasper helps her escape. They end up going on this adventure, and a bunch of other things happen. I don't want to give any of that away. They end up growing closer. She starts realizing that maybe he does like her more than just friends. And he starts like, I really do care about her, and I don't want to lose her, but because of his past and everything that he's been through, he's kind of gun shy. He learns to trust, and they go through these hardships together, and they kind of build each other up and take care of each other, and it's just so sweet. You get a good mix of all the people that you have met in the Chestnut Springs series so far. It gave me the laughs and all the amazing, wonderful things that I needed, and by the end of this book, I'm thinking, okay, my slump is gone. My slump is gone. We're doing good. I went directly into the next book. Like, I closed Powerless. I'm like, yes, let's get this done. And I was really excited about this one. And that was Furybound by Sable Sorensen. And this is book 2 in the Wolves of Ruin series. And you guys, I was obsessed with Direbound, which is book 1. And that was one of my god tier books of 2025. I have been obsessing over this book for so long. I don't know what happened. I got the book, I started reading it, and I struggled and struggled. It took me 15 days to read this book. This book right here is the reason I only got 6 books in. Now, granted, there was some days in those 15 days where I did actually get busy and I didn't actually have any time to read. So it wasn't like, you know, I tried to pick this book up every single day for 15 days and I couldn't do it. To say that I'm disappointed is an understatement. Again, it's not this book's fault. Such a good book. Again, in my opinion, 5-star book. In my opinion, if I wouldn't have been in whatever crazy freaking funk that I'm in, that I believe this would have been a god tier book. It had everything in it. It had great romance. It had great adventure, great magic, great storytelling, great suspense. You know, there was cliffhangers. There were things that happened that I didn't see coming. It was way different than what I was expecting to have happen. Like, there was nothing wrong with this book. And I wish I could explain this in a way that makes sense. I mean, maybe some of you guys will understand what I'm talking about, because this book was absolutely incredible. And I can't give you guys one freaking reason why I was having such a hard time with it. I love the main characters. There's nothing wrong with them. In book 1, that's kind of how I'm going to describe it, because I don't want to give anything away in book 2, but you have a girl named Marin who ends up joining the military in order to save her sister, who was taken by the enemy. So she joins the military in order to get to the front lines to try to rescue her sister. Well, it just so happened that that was also the same year that recruits end up getting chosen to go and possibly bond with a direwolf. And that's exactly what happens to her. She ends up bonding with a direwolf. So instead of going to the front line like she wanted to, she ended up having to stay, learn how to work with her direwolf, learn how to work with the other people in her group. She makes friends, but she also struggles because you know, she's in a hurry. All she wants to do is go and get her sister. And then she's got this like grumpy guy who like keeps showing up and like helping to try to train her. And then you've got this guy that she's dating. And so like, I don't know. It was just a really good book. Some people say that it gave them some Fourth Wing vibes. I honestly did not see that at all. Like, at all. None of it reminded me of Fourth Wing. To each their own, I guess. There are some things that happened in book 2 that I absolutely hated with a fiery passion, so I guess maybe that explains some of it too. I had a favorite character and something happened to that person. Yeah, I don't know, but it was a good book. So then I was like, you know what? I'm running out of time. There's only like a week and a half left of the month, and I hadn't gotten to my book club book yet. It was another romantasy book, and I was like, great. It was a big, thick book, and I knew I had to get through it for my club. So I just bit the bullet, and I did it. And so then the next book I read was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. And again, you guys, my freaking reading slump. This book, so good. Again, I can't give you a reason as to why I struggled through it. I believe that this book could have been a god tier book for me. It really could have. But because of the stupid reading slump that I couldn't seem to shake, it was dogging me, I don't think this book got its due justice. Again, right book, wrong time. Such a good story. It did kind of remind me of The Silversmith in a way. There's this history that isn't remembered, and that's all I'm gonna say. I felt like I was reading yet another book that was similar to another one. There's also points of this book where I was just like, why do you have to be so long? I don't know, it wasn't like I feel with Zodiac Academy where there's just so much information going on that's not necessary. I felt like most of the stuff that's going on here was necessary, and I didn't get bored. I wasn't bored at all. Again, I loved the main characters. I mean, yeah, the FMC Reeve did kind of bug me a little bit, but at the same time, I also understand what she's going through. You know, there's that part where you're like, oh my gosh, just get over your issues and realize that this is the best thing that's ever happened to you in your life. But then you can also stop and you can realize that she's been through a lot of really horrible stuff. Because of that, she's going to be reserved, right? And she's got one goal in her mind right now, and she's trying to get to that. She's got a lot of fear. And so for her, instead of dealing with that fear, she's just she's hiding it, like burying it to face later. And you know what? That never, ever, ever works out. Okay. Those, no matter how hard you try, you can't bury your feelings. They are still there. And after enough burying, eventually there's going to be nothing left that you can bury, and then it's going to all come shooting out, and then you're going to be a destroyed mess. Because then suddenly everything that you have repressed, everything that you put off to the side is all going to hit. So instead of only dealing with one trauma, you're going to be dealing with like 20 or 30 traumas. I'm so worried about her in book 2. She's just going to break, and it's going to be heart-wrenching. God tier book that I gave it a 5-star. I felt like 4.5 stars at the time that I read it, but I still believe that this is another book, right book, wrong time. Stupid reading slump. I know I've said that a million times, and I'm going to keep saying it. Stupid reading slump. I do plan on reading book 2, but I'm not going to do it right now. I feel like whatever's dogging me right now, I need to get through that first, and then it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Anyways, in this book, you have a girl named Reeve she's basically like an assassin, and she works for this organization that's against the crown. She goes to do an assassination, which completely backfires. This bounty hunter ends up catching her, and then she ends up in this big security prison where she's basically beat to death, practically to death. This guy shows up, Kane, and he basically rescues her and takes her away. But he's got his own issues, things that he's dealing with. He had a love that he lost, so he's dealing with a lot of heartbreak, and so there's a lot of clashing between the two of them. Again, it was a really good book, and a lot happened, a lot went on. I mean, you've got dragons in this book. I mean, they don't call them dragons, they call them some, other things, but they're basically dragons. There's basically dragon riders in this series. It was just a very good book, and I loved the world building. I loved every aspect of it. I loved the storytelling. I loved the premise of the story. I love where they're going with it, and I can't wait to read book 2 and find out what happens, because again, book 1 left on quite a cliffhanger, and I'm going, oh my god, I need to know more. And there's a lot of stuff coming for the main characters, and I'm genuinely curious how they're going to get through it, because there is some stuff. We need to see how they get through it, and hopefully by then I'll be out of my slump. So the last book number 6 that I read was The Daisy Chain Flower Shop. This book is book 6 in the Dream Harbor series, and you guys, I was so excited about this book. I've been waiting for it. It did not disappoint. I actually ended up giving this book 5 stars. This book was incredible. This was the first book that really caught me since Binding 13. I loved every single thing about this book. I loved the characters. You have Elliot and you have Daisy, and Daisy owns this flower shop, and she feels like she's cursed, okay? She has been married and divorced. Then she had a fiance that left her, and then apparently the last 2 weddings that she gave flowers to, those couples ended up in divorce. And so, like, the town's freaking out. Everybody's saying she's cursed. So now suddenly she can't sell her flowers at the shop, at least for weddings. The only thing that she can do is funerals, because everybody's afraid that if they buy flowers from her shop for a wedding, that they're going to curse the couple into divorce. And then you have Elliot who moves to this small town of Dream Harbor, and he's kind of like a contractor, and he buys old houses, renovates them, and resells them. And he gets a job working at the local inn to restore it. He walks in to Daisy's shop right when she is talking to somebody. Daisy, in a desperate plea, asks Elliot to be her fake boyfriend. And so then you've got this whole fake dating trope. He is definitely soft boy, you guys. Like, he's got this nerdy, sweet historian, glasses, everything vibe, and he is just the cutest. Like, I mean, he's so shy. Like, she can just say the simplest little things, and he just, like, his whole face turns red, and the tips of his ears turn red, and he's just so shy. But then he has this other side to him that's just like, when he breaks out of his shell, it's like, dang boy, that's hot. Woo! I didn't know you had it in you. They're just so perfect for each other. And so then you get some history of the town going on, and they kind of bond over the history of her flower shop and her family. And it's just a really, really, really good book. And I loved every second of it. Who knew I was going to be into the nerdy soft boys? Elliot really, really helped pull me out of my slump. And I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't read a book since. I literally finished this book with 1 day to spare. I started it on the 30th of May and finished it on the 31st. And today is the 1st of June. So I haven't read another book yet, but I'm getting ready to. I'm hoping that this broke my curse, my slump curse, my May slump curse. Okay. I hope it broke it. So fingers crossed. When I do talk to you guys about the books that I read in June, I will make sure to keep you guys posted on how my May book curse ended up being. Was it a 1 month? Is it going to be a 2 month? Let's hope not, because this was a 5-star amazing read and it just felt amazing. So as of right now, after reading that book, I have managed to make it to 50 books. You guys, I am 50 books in, half of the year. It is only June 1st, so I can't even really count June yet. So in my opinion, I feel like I'm a little bit ahead. As long as I don't keep having months like I did with May, I hopefully should still be able to make my 100 book challenge. That is the hope. I'm not exactly sure how June and July are gonna go because, like I said, I have a sewing competition happening in August and I have a lot of crafting that I have to do, but I'm hoping that I can balance that really well. And then we have a move coming up as well. And I think maybe some of that had to do with my slump as well, because honestly, right now we're in this phase where our offer was accepted. We filled out a bunch of paperwork, but now we're just in the wait phase, right? We're waiting for the appraisal to happen. And oh my gosh, you guys, it's taking forever. The appraisal is such a stress. Everything else is going great. The only thing that could stand in our way is this stupid appraisal, and it's taking freaking forever. Our appraisal is set to be completed literally 3 days before our estimated close date. And I just found that out today and I am not happy. I don't know why it took them so long. My husband and I paid for the appraisal like 2 weeks ago, but they didn't order the appraisal until the 26th. Like, why did they sit so long? I mean, maybe they were busy. I mean, we are kind of in a remote, out of the place, deserty spot, and they actually had to hire somebody from a different state to come in and appraise. I'm frustrated because everybody was telling us that we were probably going to close sooner, and I was really excited, and I was starting to get things together, and then this happened, and I was like, you know, there's no point. Until we know the results of the appraisal, I'm trying to not get my hopes up, but it's put me in this weird funk, and I think a lot of that has to do with why I'm having a hard time reading. Everybody's saying, hey, you know what, just get into your books. It'll help make the time go by fast. And before you know it, all of this will be behind you. And I agree with that, but I'm having a hard time concentrating. I'm having a hard time focusing. Like, I'm in this phase where I just want to do something. I want to do something. But again, there's really nothing I can do. I don't want to pack up half of my stuff and then something happened with the appraisal and we have to walk away. Ugh. But that aside, you guys, I am not giving up. Despite the sewing competition that I have to do still, despite this whole buying process fiasco stuff, I am still very much determined to make this 100 book goal. Okay, I'm determined. It will happen. Do I have any plans to help with the reading slump? Not really. I still went with my TBR jar. I feel like the Daisy Chain Flower Shop book by Lori Gilmore was a very good book to help get me out. So my goal, I think, for right now to hopefully keep me out of the slump is I think I'm going to stick away from romantasy book. If you've ever read a romantasy book, you kind of know that, especially in a series, right, there's just all this tension and this will they, won't they, or will they survive, won't they survive? Are they going to die? Are they going to live? Are they going to be together? Are they going to lose each other? Like, there's so much stress and so much tension, and even though it's amazing and incredible, I don't think it's mixing well with the stress that I'm dealing with my house purchasing right now. So I feel like for June, I want to try to focus more on books that are funnier, that have more humor, and stick with like some rom-coms, things that are gonna, I think I need that. I think I need that humor. I need that joy to kind of counterbalance the stress of the home buying. So that's my goal going into June, to hopefully get myself out of this reading slump and get more books in. My reading goal is still, like, I picked 6 books. I really want to read more than that in a month in order to make my goal. I'm not sure 6 books a month from here until December is going to get me where I need to be at. I think I need to at least read 8 books, so I'm going to try to get in 8 books. I think that's a good balance between the 6 and the 11 on average that I've been doing this year. And then my last goal for June, not just for June, but I think for June, July, and August, is I think I'm going to be pushing away a little bit more away from physical books and going into more audiobooks, because like I said, I'm going to be super busy. Because like literally once that appraisal happens, we're looking 3 days to close. Like everything is going to go super fast. And that's next week, you guys. So like a lot's going to be happening by next week. I think what I'm going to do between now and until my sewing competition is over is focus more on audiobooks. Like as long as I do that, I think I can get all the books that I need in, and I don't think that it's going to be too much of an issue, because right now I'm going to be having that problem where I just can't take the time to actually read a physical book. But I will be doing things like sewing and stuff like that, which I can put an audiobook in my ear and be able to listen to the story while I'm sewing, while I'm working on my foam stuff, while I'm crafting and creating and doing all the stuff that I need to do, right? I can be listening to an audiobook during that time. I'm not sure what audiobooks I'm going to listen to as of right now. I do know that I have some books on my 26 books that I want to read in 2026 that are on audiobook. I know I'm re-listening to the Death Before Dragons series. So I might continue on with that. So I have some ideas, but I still want to try to get like 1 or 2, maybe even 3 physical books in. Stick around and find out how it goes, because I will have a video for you guys in the beginning, in like the first week of July, that will show how all that turned out and how well I did. Just know that I'm not giving up on my 100-year book challenge. I'm nervous if I'm going to make it, but I'm not giving up. It's going to happen. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.